They say united we stand, divided we fall. If we not celebrate, we do it for you. Voila, you forget it. You from Lower Country, you from Maryland. Voila, you from Rewa City. I'm a bastard, we own your crib, I have a funny fine way. Nabila, I love Liberia, oh yeah yeah. Free land on liberty, Liberia, oh yeah yeah. I love Liberia, oh yeah yeah. Play for me and you, Liberia, oh yeah yeah. Oh yeah yeah.
I was raised in the swamp, but I chilled with my guns. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the boom. True son of the sun, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's far, when we show we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my hand, I holding your own. United we stand, divided we fall. You know what I say when I come with ball. When I chillin' on our side, and I get no bro. I got L to the O to the V and the E. If we fighting together, we can conquer this team. From the east to the west, then waving the flag from the north to the side. Yeah, I'm joining the team. You go where you pella, you.
Mama was born, yeah. Papa was born, yeah.
And of course, I like that one. They hold hands together. I had it born, yeah.
United we stand, divided we fall.
And of course, united we stand, divided we fall. Welcome to Open Conversation. Today is Monday, 9/11. Happy birthday to you. Marco Class celebrates birthday today. And share it with my son, Josh Gibro Jr. You both celebrate birthdays today, and I like to dedicate the show to you. I wish you many, many more years to come. Who doesn't love Liberia? If you don't love Liberia, then I don't know. If you are Liberian and you don't love Liberia, then you're not here from my mother.
Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's far, when we show we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my
And of course, I know we can rise again, and this is how I like to welcome you to Open Conversation. On this program, we talk politics. And of course, we all know that it's exactly what? 29, 30 days to elections. Okay, today is the 11th. We go to elections on the 10th of October. And so today is the 11th. 30 days have September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31 days. So October, November, September. 30 days have September, April, June, and November. So we're in September, 30 days. So this month has 30 days, and today is the 31st. So we are just a month to elections. The time is just coming closer and closer and closer. And everybody's who participating in these elections, and I mean those people who are running for positions in these elections, are on their feet, making sure that they get the electorates on their side. And so we're going to talk about some of those issues today on Open Conversation. The weekend doesn't even stop people from campaigning. People are still campaigning all over the place, making sure that, that's what we need to do. That we're practicing democracy in Liberia. So if you want people on your side, you have to convince somebody to get on your side. Tell them what you can do for them. If they fall for your vlad, that's fine. If they don't fall for it, then they fall for another person's, that's it. But seeing is believing, especially for those who have had the opportunity to be in, they have a lot to prove to the people. Because if you were given an opportunity to serve before and you didn't serve well, and now you want to come back to power, there's a lot of explanation, there's a lot of convincing you have to do to the people to get them on your side. You see? So, but if you serve well, and if you are serving well, then it's easier to have people convinced that you can continue to serve. That's the trick of it. Some people are given power. When they get to power, they forget about the masses. They don't care. But then when the table don't turn, and then they don't have power anymore, they want to come back to power because Trust me, some people just love government job. They just like to work for government forever throughout their lives. They just want to be in the government sector. They don't go to the private sector. What is that? Is government made for a certain group of people? Serve in the private sector, make your name there. You go to government, you have an opportunity to serve. You exit, give other people a chance, let them serve. But some people have served and they want to come back to serve. And because they have served well, people will give them opportunities. Those who didn't serve well, now what for you? And so that's how it goes. But let me tell you, before we go to what's trending this evening, let me tell you who my guest is on Open Conversation. My prime guest is an community engagement strategist for the Coalition for Democratic Change on the campaign. He is Blo J Choppy Chale. We'll sit together this evening. He will tell me more about what kind of engagements they are involved with, whether it's the door-to-door, house-to-house, the Jehovah Witness campaign strategy they're employing now as we are about to go to elections. Was just a month to elections. We'll be talking more about that. But before we go into that, when we start the show, we talk a bit about what's trending in the country. So we heard about,
and you look around, see a country like Gambia, see Rwanda. These are countries.
It turned out that the Liberian Revenue Authority has told the Liberian people that is not true. What they found in that bus at the RIA is some herbal treatment, some moringa leaves. And so, because people suspect that, they suspected that there was drugs in that bus, they're going to take that to the lab. But for now, that's, moringa. And all of us know what people do with moringa and what it does to us as a people. So, until then, all that Facebook posts and some papers coming up with people, the head of security at the RIA, doing drugs or hiding drugs or bringing drugs to the country. Some people even linking Finabondo to that. The records are there now. There was an investigation done, and there was an open investigation. People went in, they opened the place, and they were able to look into what was in that car. And it has turned out that there's no drug in it for now. What they see in there, what they found there were just moringa leaves or herbal tea. And so also today we know that before I come to what's happening today, over the weekend, ACOP launched a campaign officially on Sunday. And I was not fortunate to hear exactly what the standard bearer said, but because in this country we talk about crowd. That was an impressive crowd, the polled. We had the official campaign spokesperson and the media person in studio on Friday before the launch on Sunday. And so I was coming from church on Sunday and I saw the whole field, that place I call the Abyss, somewhere right around in the Gardnersville area. That was an impressive crowd, the polled there. Maybe somebody would say that's an official campaign launch. That's why the place was crowded. We wait to see whether the Unity Party, that is perceived as the biggest opposition in the country, whether they can pull such a crowd. But I must give it up for them. They call themselves the minority group in the country, but that was an impressive crowd, the polled there. And today, the CDC and Standard Bearer are in Bone County. His Excellency and his team are in Bone County. And the president spoke today in Bone County. We know that he dedicated a market today as part of his campaign activities in that part of Liberia. But he also spoke to the people of Bone County today, and he was very blunt. And he said to them that the opposition, he he went for the opposition leader, Ambassador Joseph Boakai, today, and he said that the opposition got nothing to say to the Liberian people. They say they will bring free education. They say they will offer better health care when they come to power. But his caution to the Liberian people was that, ask them this question. They say they're going to rescue you. They're offering, free education. They're offering better health care for you as a country. But what did they do when they had 12 years in power? They did not, as a government, offer you free education. They thought that education was only for the elite. And that is why they continue to characterize the Liberian people who follow me, George Weah, as illiterate people who are on the street, people who are from the ghettos, people who don't go to school, people who don't want to learn. But he says to the people that you see yourselves in me because even though I came from the ghetto, but the ghetto did not define me. The ghetto did not define me because I am your president today. And because you see yourself in me, I see myself in you. That is why I have decided, since 1847, all of the governments we've had in this country, it took a George Weah to make sure that, university education is free for the Liberian people, despite, the economic condition around the world. But it took a George Weah who would stand up, because the government has to stand for its people, for the people to survive, for the people to have a better living. So the government says we are opting to make sure that universities, government universities across the country are free. So the Liberian people can have an opportunity. They can have an opportunity. The Liberian children can have an opportunity to learn, to compete with those people who have been in power, and they believe that only their children should have an opportunity to go abroad and learn and come back and always be leaders in this country. But he was speaking to his people today in Bone County and said, all of what they're saying to you, I have given that to you as a president. I gave you free education. As a government, we decided to give the people of this country who cannot afford, we gave them better education and free education. We as a government have, built more hospitals in this country than any other government has done, because we believe in the health of the people. So whatever the opposition is coming to ask you to do, they say they're going to rescue you, but they need to be rescued. I want to play a clip from what the president said today in Bone County. Do we have that clip? Let's see whether we have that clip. He was referring to Ambassador Boakai when he talked about the D2 hospital today. The president talked about that. He was, I think my producers are not up to date with that clip yet, but the president simply said that he was flabbergasted when he heard His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Boakai talk about bringing relief to the people of Newtown. Do we have that clip?
Thank you. You have your seat.
Okay, let's see whether it's the right clip.
Thank you. You have your seat. Madam Vice President. Madam.
Well, I'm sorry, we can bring that because we don't have the right clip now, but I'm just going to, summarize what His Excellency said. He was talking about Ambassador Boakai's speech he made recently on a campaign tour and promising to make the Redemption Hospital a better place for the Liberian people. And he's going to, take drugs to the Redemption Hospital. And he was saying, it's a shame that Ambassador Boakai would even, mount the podium and mention that, because his government, he was in a government, he served as the second man in command in the Unity Party-led government, and Redemption Hospital is far better than it was, when he served 12 years ago. He never thought about the people of Redemption of Newtown. The president talked about, Newtown that was being carried away by, sea erosion. It took a George Weah government to make sure that they stopped the sea from taking the people homes away from them. The Ambassador Boakai says that he will make Redemption better, but it is under this government that the newer Redemption Hospital is almost, coming to completion, because the people there now will be coming around the Katwa area where that gigantic structure is being built. But he was like, You cannot say now that you're going to do these things for the people when you had 12 years in power and you did not do that. You didn't think about those people because you want to come back to power. You're making people think that you can do such a thing for the Liberian people. It's in his thoughts. He says it's comical, and he was flabbergasted when he heard that. So he was cautioning the people of Bone County today and telling them that they should give him additional 6 years because he wants them. And the reason why, according to him, President Weah, the Unity Party folks are eager to come to power because they don't want a comparison. They don't want their 12 years to be compared to that of President Weah's 12 years. And he was saying, give me additional 6 years, and then you can compare their 12 years to mine 12 years and see who has the Liberian people at heart. So the president's tour in Bone County continues. And so the Unity Party folks are in Bowman County. They're in Bowman County. We're told that they're going to be in Bowman tomorrow again, and then they go to Grand Cape Mount County. From Cape Mount, they're going to Gbapolo. Unfortunately, today we were not able to understand exactly what Ambassador Boaka was saying because the speaker or the person who was going live was, according to him, he was very far away from the speaker, so we couldn't hear exactly what he was saying. Although when other people mounted the podium to speak, we were hearing them. But when Ambassador Boaka came to speak, we couldn't understand exactly what he was saying. So we just assumed that is the same old because Unity Party, cannot prove a point in Bowman County. Now the people of Bowman County have electricity. You saw when His Excellency went there, how, the crowd was very, very receptive. So there are things that are happening in Bowman County, and those things did not happen under the 12 years rule of Ambassador Boaka. So I really wonder what exactly he was promising the people, because he usually promises, better education, although Liberian people did not get better education under the Unity Party-led government, because President Sirleaf is on record for saying that the system, the sector, she described it as a mess. So if the president of the day at the time described the educational system as a mess, then it tells you that under the 12-year rule of Ambassador Boaka and former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the educational system of our country did not get better. Although Ambassador Boaka is promising better education, even though this government has given people free education. So he hasn't been able to say to the Liberian people how exactly he's going to do, what better education, what alternative. That is what I keep saying. We need to hear the alternative. How are you going to do it differently? Because we're getting free education now. And our children, don't have to pay WAS fees. What else are you going to do? Are you going to make all of the private schools in the country free? Because for now, the government is paying all the private school WAS fees. The students who are in private school, their parents do not have to pay WAS fees. If it were in other governments, at least, the Unity Party-led government, if they had even, thought about the Liberian people and the people who are in how you call it, government universities to say, or government schools to say, that time it was WAS. YX, sorry. So if they even thought about saying, let's just pay, for government school students, let's pay the YX, fees, but they did not do that. This government jumped way ahead of them. The government is not even paying for just, government school students. The government is paying for all Liberian students, whether you are in the government school or private school. Your parents or your parent doesn't have to find money to go and pay WAS fees. We are relaxed. We parents are relaxed because we don't have to pay that. They didn't even stop there, but made universities, government universities across the country free. So everybody now can go to school, because the Unity Party folks always say that they have that perception that people who support the CDC-led government government, those people are not schooled people. They don't know anything. That is why they support George Weah. People, the motorbike riders, you know, those people who are in the streets because they don't know anything. That is why they follow, you know, the president of the Republic of Liberia. But the president also, okay, you say, you know, the people don't know book. I don't know book. That's why they're following me. But now I want to make these people's lives better. I want to give them an opportunity. Let them go to school. Let them go to school free. If you're out of high school, you go to government school, you're out of government school, you want to go to university, you don't have to pay a dime to go to university. You can learn so that you can compete with the people who believe that their children are the ones who should learn to always, you know, be over this country. You know, that's an irony. So we want to hear from the Unity Party-led government, because Ambassador Boakai always says that he's going to give better education. How is he going to make education better? It's about telling the Liberian people how. How are you going to make, you know, the healthcare system of our country better? We know exactly what JFK used to be. We sat on this show with the administrator of the JFK hospital, Dr. Brown. If you see the massive improvements at JFK, you compare it to what it was under the 12-year rule of the Unity Party-led government, you will be like, whoa. And just to think about it, the kind of money that was coming to this country, that was coming to JFK, you know, during Ambassador Boakai's 12-year in power, it's compared to nothing that is coming right now. But it's about, you know, being a good administrator. I must give it up for Dr. Brown. What is happening at the JFK is unprecedented. So what are you going to do at the JFK when you were there and we didn't even have, you know, a fitting MRI? You were there. We didn't have, you know, what we have there today. Go and look at the lab. Go and look at the emergency unit at the JFK. When you go there, you know that you're at a hospital. Before, it wasn't the case. People used to refer to JFK as just for killing. That is not the case now. So if Ambassador Boakai and the Unity Party folks mount the podium, it's incumbent upon them to tell the Liberian people exactly how they're going to do things differently. That is what His Excellency was saying today. Because what they are saying they're going to do, they didn't do 12 years ago, is what we are doing now. So what is the alternative? They must be able to give it. And we also know that the CPP folks are in Grand Cape Mount County. Mr. Cummings is continuing his Jehovah Witness campaign, door to door, and just going along the streets and shaking people's hands. He's called the walking campaigner. That's how I refer to him, as the walking campaigner. So he's in Grand Cape Mount County. All of those folks, we don't really know their plans for our campaign because we just hear that they're in this other place. We hear that they're in that other place. It's only today that we heard from Mo Ali that they're in Bomi County. From there, they're going to Cape Mount and then to Bapolu before they come back to launch their campaign that everybody is looking forward to. So I'm going to leave it at that. That's what I have for what's trending today in Liberia. And open up the lines when you should have made your import. Then we will bring in our guests and then we start our discussion this evening on Open Conversation. Callers on 0880514-096 and you'll be live on Open Conversation. Let's talk to our very first caller. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I'm James Pratt calling from Sinkom.
Let's hear you, Brad.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I think it was outstanding. You see, I listened to Amos Twell, the Secretary General of the Opposition Unity Party, making some unsubstantiated assertion that they are the only opportunity, and in fact, this current government is practicing gazing, all kind of funny things he started saying.
They don't have any message for campaign. That's all.
Exactly, Titi. You know, we are resolved to re-elect Ambassador Weah. What they are saying, I mean, they are mere jokers, Titi. We know what the person has done and what he's doing currently, and we are not stupid. We are focused, and we know that They have absolutely nothing to offer the Liberian people. They're just coming to deceive us and to enrich themselves. And we wouldn't take that.
Okay.
So we are opportunity and activity with that way. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of the program. Let's hear you.
Yeah, how are you, Mama?
Good.
Well, I'm Hilton Smo for Electoral District number 4, Gambasa County.
Let's hear you.
Well, it is true. I don't know. There's a saying that say the child been born, then the apple.
The baby born the Abby.
And then when the child will be born now,
I know.
they miss our opportunity. Enough of money enter this country. One person is 24,000 USD. One person salary. People working abroad. Salary from here.
And that is why Ambassador Boka is planning to introduce, that special allowance payment in ministries and agencies. That same thing that happened under the UP regime, where ministers and heads of states own enterprise were giving lump sum amounts to pay their staff. That's what they're planning to reintroduce.
Salary at that time. I just joined the ticket fee at that time. And people knew to go, people from there, not even in the education center, they used to get a check. That time we used to receive check. Check used to enter the country, so now they will be there for 3 months, just giving people free check, and they were there, they're not even working teaching. But because they will go and hire them, they produce car, they start giving them check. And the government have come to make sure that it is stable. But war on them, we're going to beat them, we're going to war over them, and God said no that, because we are going back.
The one that same payment system, thank you so much, where they can encourage ministers to employ their friends and their relatives. That is what they want to bring back. That is what, Ambassador Boka. I have a clip. I think I need to play that clip before I even go to my guest. I forgot about that clip. Let's hear. Ambassador Boka was on one of these social media shows, and then he was asked by Jeremy Pierre, very comical, because Pierre sat down at
and I want to ask the Vice President a question about tourism, because I'm a former official of the Ministry of Information, and even me sitting in our position,
Ambassador Boka would say to the Liberian people and the world at large that if he wins elections in this country, there will be no.
And I want to ask the Vice President a question about tourism, because I'm a former official of the Ministry of Information, and even me sitting in our position always used to question why they have an entity called Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. Well, basically what that ministry does is just pure emphasis and focus on communication and information. And you look around, see a country like Gambia, see Rwanda. These are countries that are doing great with revenue generation in the tourism sector. You think it's about time we approach tourism from a different perspective, including institutional restructuring? Because what sense does it make sitting in our position where we used to question information, why they have information to take cultural affairs and tourism, and basically year in, year out, culture and tourism are buried. And even in terms of the personnel, when you're appointing people to that ministry, there are people who basically are communicators. They don't know anything about tourism, but yet they are managing information, cultural affairs, and tourism. What plans are there, JMB? I guess we can generate a lot of revenue in that tourism sector if we do the right thing.
I have a lot of documentation. Jeremy, if you're going to look for a job, the Ministry of Information, there won't be any Ministry of Information. We don't need it now.
Wow. Thank you.
We don't need Ministry of Information.
That's a breaking news.
Wow.
Thank you.
Ministry of Information.
Okay, if you're going to look for a job at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, there will be no Ministry of Information. That's according to Ambassador Boka. He just appeared last week on this show, and he says that so all the people at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism, you don't have a job if the Unity Party-led government assumes power, or Ambassador Boka assumes power. What is even more comical is that Jeremy McPierre, who sat at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism as a deputy minister, is not even a communicator. He did agronomy, and he was serving at that ministry, taking money, and he never said a word. because he's in the States and he wants to come back because he's not doing anything there. He wants to come back and he's a Unity Party man. He thinks that that is the way to do it. And so he's asking Ambassador Boaka, and I'm sorry that Ambassador Boaka will even answer that way, but it's good that he answered that way because that is the plan they have for the Liberian people. You sat over there. You did not complain one day. You sat at that ministry. You made all the money you had to make under the Ellen-led government. You were even paid because President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf had to pay your school fee for 1 year in the States where you went to school. But you don't even have the, on the expense or at the expense of the Liberian people. And all you can say is that that place where you worked and you made a lot of money. You want Ambassador Boakai. You want a plan for your Unity Party-led government. And the only thing Ambassador Boakai could say to the Liberian people is that all of you who are working at Ministry of Information, just know that if I assume power, if I come to power, there is no Ministry of Information. How comical is that? How would Jeremy Pierre, even in his widest thought, think about such a thing? And again, this just exposes what plans the Unity Party people have for the Liberian government. Ambassador Boakai says he wants a smaller government. He's going to cut people down. He has already told the Liberian people that. Now he was just last week on that show telling people that when it comes to power, there will be no Ministry of Information. So you people over there, just get ready. You don't have a job if Ambassador Boakai assumes the presidency. Let's hear you.
Hello?
Let's hear you, ma'am.
Yeah, my name is Fatu Kamara, calling from FE.
Let's hear you, Fatu.
Yeah, I just want to tell you thank you for the topic. These people they're just looking for trouble, but we'll get them one blow and we'll go for on attack. So I tell you thank you very much because victory will carry it. I tell you thank you very much.
Thank you, Fatu. Thank you. I'll take 3 more calls and then I'll come to my guest. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening today. I'm a brother Washington now.
It's better. Hopefully he'll be with us tomorrow, God willing.
Okay, thank God, thank God. This is E. Ashton Bapu, chairman for We Are One Man Victory, from District 5, Moscow County.
Let's hear you.
Thank you for your talking point this evening. Just something to bring back to our mind is your correspondent from Nima County reported something this afternoon to Mr. Director Red. That really drew my attention. I think it's solid for our democracy. I don't care. I have my brother that's supporting the Unity Party, but we joke, we laugh, we do everything together. I go to the horse, I eat. He come to my horse, he eat. But then for us to hear that our people blacklisting journalists, I think we have to be careful that the child is not born here and the eyeball looking at them. When the child born, how will it be? So this should be our advice to every one of us, even if you were or you haven't made a decision to join the developmental side of the campaign. Please make that decision now because tomorrow.
I like the way, thank you. I'm sure I like the way Ambassador Boakai is not hiding it. I like it because, it's just God. He tells the Liberian people that, he tells the people in the diaspora, that, when I take power, my government, just as the Unity Party did, brought people from America, from other parts of the world, because they felt that the people in Liberia, are not competent to be, ministers of different agencies. And it's sad because right after the Unity Party-led government, most of these people have gone back to America. And they're sitting there, and when the Unity Party comes back to power, then they remove all the people who are working in government here and sit there again. After their rule, they go right back. What are you going to say? Those government officials, the likes of Crystal, the likes of, Judy Moore from, Crystal was at Agriculture, Judy Moore, Public Works, Patrick Sandolo, Lands, Mines, and Energy, Amara Kone. Kone is back in the country now because he's running in Bapolu County, Anthony Weeks, Anthony Sai, Richard Talbot, National Investment Commission, Lucille Dunso. Those people are people who, the Unity Party government imported. They came, they worked, they command their own, they're gone. They're seated when Unity Party comes to power. So what about the people who you are going to in the trenches and asking them to vote for you? If those people put you in power, then you tell them that they don't know book. They are wheelbarrow boys. They come from the slum, so they don't need to be leaders in this country. That makes, that is what makes you different from, the president of the Republic of Liberia. Check in the government and see how many locals are in this government. That's what sets, the president far, far apart from the opposition, because their intention for the country is totally, totally different. And Ambassador Bwaka does not stop, saying that to people. He says he's going to bring the people from the diaspora if he's elected, like the Unity Party government did. He says he's going to cut the government down. So the people who don't belong there, who are from the slums, who don't belong in government, is going to take them from there. He says no Ministry of Education, Information, Cultural Affairs, and Tourism. So let's hear you. We got 2 more calls to take, and then we come to our guests. Good evening.
Good evening, today. How you doing?
Good evening, sir.
This is Edmond Carr. We don't have a stay for the re-election of President we are.
Let's hear you.
Calling from Dubai. God is almighty. All of these things have been revealed to us so that we will know what is in the package for Unity Party government if only God forbid 100 times when they come to power. The last time Bwaka said when he take over, if there are 500 people there that we carry there, he will put down 400 and only take 100. Now he coming out to cut out a complete ministry that hire people that they are able to put something on their family table. He said he will cut that all the ministry off. Okay? So they job on everything. They go in name out there and he died their own journalist or journalists, 14 journalists, claiming that they gave them $25,000 US to blackmail Unity Party.
I'm just sad. It's so sad.
Are you kidding me? You're not even talking about 1,000 or 4,000 dollars. Tell you after the afternoon. You're telling me $25,000 US for 14 journalists to blackmail you. And then they were just on it. They were not even analyzed to see what the other information we don't see is true. That's like we are Unity Party. Everything that comes up, they accept it the wrong way. But what we are saying to our people, we keep our finger crossed. Come October 10th, we got elections on the 8th day. So the time is out. Now you want to finish with Maserati, you say you want to bomb me. Okay?
They finish on Maserati.
Now they bomb me. They got a pass here today. I was asking where were they going? They put fire today with their noise going to railway. So that they got a fire because if we are passed here going, so they don't got a pass here so that we can see that they are passed here to go to bomb where.
Yeah, they put campaign too. Thank you. Let me take my very last caller and then I come to my guest. Good evening.
Good
evening.
Thank you very much. Let me take you to a main listener.
You not in mommy sitting there?
I just see my location. Listen, I can be anywhere.
You hiding from me now?
Absolutely. I would see what you do. I call my we all are complaining about corruption today in the country. We share the Unity Party with the lot of unity in the country. So the CDC usually and that is
you what? You can just talk. That's all you do. You don't have evidence for anything. You are just free talk. But it's good that you're on ELBC radio. The Physicians did not have a chance to do that when your Unity Party was in power. So just talk. What did I say about Unity Party? The people who are named here, were they not brought in the country? Are they here?
Took the money away. They were the money. Where they carry the money?
Who told you people took money away? Don't misquote me. I said imported government officials, and I named them. Those people, are they in Liberia today? With the exception of Amakone, who has come back to run. The other people are not here. They're out of the country. Yeah, if you didn't come to run, you would not be in Liberia. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to, tell you what I'm saying is not a lie. Is Crystal here today? Huh? Why are you coming to change now?
What
What are you coming to rescue?
said that we run for information that would just enter this country today. All of a sudden,
No. That's what I don't like about you, Bobby. That's what I don't like about you. No drugs, and you saw the people. You saw the people doing the investigation. So don't come on the radio and spill anything just for spilling sake. Mommy, I see you here, Baba. Baba. But nothing is there. You guys don't have anything, man. Mommy, I see you, Baba. Mommy, leave my line, man. You got nothing to say. You got nothing to say. You people should come with facts. That will help Liberians. But when you be skinny whole day on the Liberian people, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. You saw what happened today at the airport. You guys were all over the place and all over Facebook saying that the people brought drugs in the country. The people opened the car and opened everything, and you saw all the leaves over there. What do you have to say again? Nothing. You have to find a better way to campaign that is going to help you. Well, let me take a short break, and when I come back.
From the east to the west, north to the south, let's come together as one. They say you're not there, we stand, divided we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for you. While you forget that, you from Lower County, you from Maryland, while you from Rewa I'm about that way on your tree, I'm up on the fine way. Tabila, I love Liberia, oh yeah. Free land on liberty, Liberia, oh yeah. I love Liberia, oh yeah. Play for me and you, Liberia, oh yeah.
I was raised in the swamp, but I chilled with my guns. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the bone. True son of the sun, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's far, when we show we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my hand, I holding your own. United, we stand, divided, we fall. So that's what I say when I come with ball. When I chillin' on that side, and I get no bro. I got L to the O to the V and the E. If we fighting together, we can conquer this thing. From the east to the west, then waving the flag from the north to the side. If we fight it together, we can conquer this thing. From the east to the west, and waving the flag from the north.
And of course, from the east to the west, we're waving the flag, not the south. I love Liberia. Fine song there. Let's bring it down now and speak with our guest, Mr. Bloje Choppy Charlie, Community Engagement Strategist, Coalition for Democratic Change. Welcome to Open Conversation on ELBC Radio. How are you?
Well, I'm very excited to be here tonight. The studio itself, in fact, is just begins a conversation of why we are in the studio today. Looking at this studio, I've been in ELBC studio a couple of times. I remember doing the Unity Party years, and I'm seeing this studio that tells me that there is progress in governance in Liberia because the studio itself is improved. It's real modern studios, and it's very impressive. So I'm proud to say that this studio represents some of the development that our president, His Excellency George Manawia, is doing in Liberia. This evidence is so marvelous.
You couldn't say it any better, but let's hear who is Choppy Charlie. I've been hearing this name, Choppy Charlie. Is that a real name?
Well, Bloje is my name. Choppy
Okay.
Charlie is my name.
Can you come a little bit closer to the mic?
Yeah.
You can pull it to yourself. You can.
Okay. So officially, I'm Rachel Yuri, P. Yuri.
Okay.
But popularly known as Bloje Choppy Charlie. So Bloje is my name, and Choppy Charlie is a nickname. So I'm known by that name.
Okay.
I've been around for a while now. I happens to be a founding member of the CDC. It's this process we've been there from the very beginning. I have played different roles in the CDC. At one time, I served as National Director for Communication and Policy. And I've played other roles in the party, chairman for restructuring the party after the 2011 elections. And we're doing a lot of things. And we continue to do these things. So this election period, I'm serving now as the community engagement strategy. We're trying to apply more science to politics in Liberia this time. And hopefully the science is going to add up to give us this first round victory that we are I talking about doing in these elections.
You guys are dead serious about this first round victory, right? Provide us with details on your community engagement strategy. When do we begin to see you knocking on doors of residents across Liberia?
Well, we've already begun the process.
Oh, really?
And I think the community engagement is instructive to us being confident of our first round victory.
Tell us more about that.
There are a lot of other things that we're doing. The strategic plan for victory is something that we have in our closet. But what we have been able to do is that we have been able to engage with actual voters on the field in different communities across the country, not just in Monrovia. And though we are having these very big rallies, but we all understand that is not what the CDC is depending on to win these elections.
Okay.
It's already known our party has a capacity to put up a huge crowd any day, anytime we want to do that. But elections is about counting the votes in the ballot box. And so our strategy is to start counting the vote before elections day, and that is meeting all the voters across the country.
What are you telling them?
Well, we are communicating to them about the development of the president. And one of the things that we have to do in these elections, and I know a lot of time when you have to look at the opposition records, people will say, why are you talking about the past? But, in order for you to understand the development of this president, you have to look at the past. What was there or what was not there, and compare to what is there now to see whether there are improvement. Like I just said when I came in the studio, this studio is a clear evidence of the development of President Weah. And there are other areas that we can look at to see development of President Weah. I call many of President Weah development since 1847. The CDC has this there's a thing we say since 1847 this has not been done. And in reality here is that most of President Weah development are since 1847 development.
What does that mean?
So since 1847 development means that since this country was founded, since 1847, that kind of development did not exist. For example, the road now leading from Banga to Lofa County, since this country was founded, that road was not paved. It never existed. And nobody in this country can say that road existed. President George Weah did that road. Since this country was founded, there was no military hospital in this country since 1847. Today, we have a military hospital. Since 1847, this country never had playground that we have Invincible Park and other parks across the country. Today, that country have we have that. Since 1847, we did not have the kind of medical equipment we have in JFK Hospital. We have those equipment now. Since 1847, there are many other development. You're talking about housing unit across Liberia in different counties. You're talking about hospital. And the good thing about this development that President George Weah is doing, that this is what we call local resource mobilization type of development. That is, the money that is mostly done with this development comes from Liberia's own resources. So this government is using our money, the taxpayer dollars, the money that people pay for taxes, our natural resources, and is investing that money into national development. In the past, we saw a clear difference. While they even had the national resource money, they also was on international welfare. And despite international welfare plus local resource mobilization, still we did not see the kind of since 1847 development as we are seeing now in Liberia. So we want to continue to celebrate this president, and imagine 6 years, not even 12 years, his development has surpassed those who are in power for 12 years. And that is something that we want to celebrate. And we believe that Liberian people are going to see the tangibles, and based on the tangibles, they're going to re-elect this president for the next 6 years, and we're going to have more development as we've seen.
So if what you're saying is anything to go by, your kind of, strategy is different from the conventional style of a campaign. So tell me, when you go to visit these homes and people are not around, do you come back when they return from work or wherever from the market to continue your activities?
Of course. One of the things that we've been doing here is that we try to, and I know most parties now have copied the CDC as it's always done. One of the things that we've seen, especially in this election, in most elections, is that the copycats are always looking for what the CDC does and they copy it. I mean, you can see that from even the social aspect all of the CDC music that have been made. You see them copying the music and making it different. So it's the same thing they are doing with the election strategy. If you look at even the organization, these are people who in the past they said, oh, don't come on the street, don't protest, don't march, don't do these things. They are copying it now. So it's the same thing that they are doing, copying our strategy on the field, on the grassroots level. We go to people's houses, we gather information about those people, we interact with them. And some people we don't meet at home, but we still leave contact information. We still have our foot soldier going on the field and re-engaging these people and try to re-educate them towards the idea of national development. Look, one of the things that we continue to tell people, and I continue to tell people, nation building is not for individual gains. You know, if, for example, national development, if a school is built in a community, that school will provide quality education to parents who will send their children to that school. That is a way of benefiting from government. If a hospital is built here in a community, you are benefiting from the government through that hospital, because when your child is sick, you will take your child to that hospital, your child will get healed. In the past, we did not have this type of development in most parts of Liberia. So citizens were not actually benefiting from the government. They were not actually benefiting from the national wealth. And now these things are happening. It's going to take a time. Development is very painful. We always want to tell people, development is a very painful exercise. It is not an overnight exercise. It is not a welfare exercise where we have NGO in Liberia distributing food to the people, because at that time we're in a war situation. You know, I tell anybody, if you're working now, you pay your own bills, you do everything for yourself, you got your own house. If something happened to you, your house got burned down, you lost a job, friends will come to help you, people will come to help you. It may not even be because you're a good person or you're a bad person. It's just the fact that humanity demands that people come and help you. Liberia came from fire during those years of war. Right after the war, we saw the whole international community come to help Liberia. It was not because of the genius of an individual. It was not because somebody who was that government was so smart and the international community loved that president so much. That's why Liberia was giving all those help. Liberia was giving all this help because the people wanted Liberia to come back on its feet. And that help was not forever. It was for a period of time. And once that time expired, the people left to go help other people elsewhere, leaving Liberia on its own. But we see now, and that's another contrast we have to look at with this president. Right now, this very election we are having today is financed by the Liberian government. So a clear difference. The past election was financed by international welfare. International people were paying for the elections. So it tells you a better governor raising his own money, paying for his own election, as opposed to those who are in power did not have the leadership capability to raise funds and pay for their own elections. Right now, the security of Liberia is being financed by the Liberian government. In the past, we had international police, international military providing that service. So on the whole, you can see a quality leadership where somebody is running the country all by themselves, as opposed to somebody who was having a babysitter, international babysitter, with police, with hospital, with everything, with doctors. So interestingly, and that's another interesting point we have to look at. Most of the doctors who are working in the past 12 years on that government was being paid by international community. Right now, those very doctors are being paid directly by the Liberian government, this government, and they are even making more money than the past. So it tells you a lot of things that is happening. There's more revenue now being collected from the same sources of revenue that we had in the past for 12 years, but they were collecting less revenue, and most of the budget, over half of that budget, was financed by international community. Right now, almost more money, the budget is more, and it's being financed by this government on its own. It tells you there's improvement in accountability. It tells you there's improvement in transparency. And it tells you there's improvement in distribution of services to the people.
Are the people getting these messages? Is that what are these the messages you're carrying out to these people, and are they getting it? Mind you, the reason why I'm asking this question, in 2017, when we were, campaigning all over the place, the Unity Party-led government was also campaigning and pulling crowds around the place, and they were campaigning and telling the people to re-elect them. Those people were, in my mind, hustling on them because the results came and it proved different. because His Excellency won, 14 counties, even though the Unity Party was a seated government. So are those people now hustling on the CDC too? Is your message resonating with them as you do these community engagements, you think?
Yes, I always said this, and I think for some of us, we have always been vindicated. I've always trusted the judgment of the ordinary people. I've never believed that the ordinary people are not smart. I believe they are truly smart. They are capable of judging things and making informed decisions, like you say, once they have the message. And I think what has happened is that we have heard a lot of noise from the past, a lot of noise all over the place. But once the people get the message, and I've sat with people in different places, and one of the things I like to do for my community engagement aspect is to go behind and engage the ordinary people where they are in their own local communities and just have a chat, a conversation. Sometimes some people comes up angry and say some stuff because of misinformation. But once they have given the facts, for example, let's look at some facts here. We say the higher money salary paid for public official under the last government was around what? $25,000, right? And this time it is more, right? Monthly salary this time is less. The highest paid salary under the past government was around 25,000. I heard you talking about some salary earlier about public official. So they were fleecing the public treasurer during that time, literally looting the state under the false pretense that, like you said, I listened to earlier conversation, they imported people from Liberia and from America, and
yes,
so the
correct.
government was responsible to bear that burden of importing your family. So they had to give you extra salary because you have to support your other family left back in America, and you also have to support yourself here. Now, this government was able to slice that money, because why should somebody living right in Monrovia be making $25,000 a month? What is he really doing? What extra qualification does that person have that you have to make such a money? So that money, this government was able to slice that cut, and now that money was redirected into development. And this is why this government is able to pay for the development they are doing. They are not relying on international welfare. I mean, it doesn't mean that this government is not getting some assistance, and it doesn't mean it is bad to get assistance from international partners. But we all know that the 12 years of international welfare has not developed the country. In fact, there are a lot of research that has been done that has shown that growth will all development based on international welfare dependency. You can't depend.
But is it that we're not developed because of partners' money, or it is because the people who are running the country don't think about the ordinary people? Because you can get the money, but the money is intended for a purpose. So if you get international funding, it's good for your people. But do you use that money for your people, or you use it for yourself?
The problem is that, and one has to look at it like what is happening now. And I do agree with some of the things you just said, that the intended purpose, the money has to be used for the intended purpose. But when you're operating on a dependency syndrome, where you are depending on another person to come and pay your bills, where you're depending on another person to come and buy food for you, where you're depending on another person to cook for you, the mentality is pressing your mentality in terms of developing yourself, because you know that this person will always be able to do these things for you, as opposed to you doing it for yourself. So that kind of mentality has also crippled the Liberian people. The reason and way of thinking that people think that government is supposed to you're just supposed to sit down to your house. If you waste trash all around your community, the government should come and clean it. You don't have a self-consciousness to know that the trash you are putting in your community, you can organize yourself and clean it, because that trash is going to create health hazard to your young children. They're going to be sick. And the small money you have of food, you have to use that money to care your child, to buy medicine. So the dependency thing has been very dangerous for Liberia. And it's the same dependency thing. And I've given you another quick simple example. For example, let's look at food sufficiency in Liberia. Rice, agriculture. Liberia at this time should have been feeding itself. We have a very rich soil. But one of the reasons why we have had this problem for not being able to feed ourselves is because of the very people who are now championing the idea of coming back to power. And when we look at the record, a very terrible record. For example, let's look at the man who who is shouting every day that he can be a better governor, Mr. Joseph Boakai. There's a man who, in 1980, in August 1980, and there's a full report on it. They title one report for a Liberia PL 480 rights that was given to Liberia in 1980. In August of 1980, at the time, the United States government gave Liberia over $65 million rights. And that rights, when Joseph Boakai was managing director of LPMC, that rights were given to LPMC to market the rights, raise the money, take the money from selling that rights, and invest it into agriculture so Liberia can become full sufficiency and full independent. But what happened after Joseph Boakai ran that place? He stayed there for several years. He went to agriculture ministry. At the end of the day, because of his bad governance of that PL 480 program, it brought trouble to the Samuel Doe government. The United States government has imposed sanctions on Samuel Doe. In 1985, Joseph Boakai was dismissed for corrupt practices by the Doe government because the United States government audit report shows that Boakai stole over $75 million from the proceeds of that money.
How will you say that when people say that Joseph Boakai has no record of dismissed?
At least that is not a Liberian record. The record is by the United States government. It's an audit report is up. The audit report was done in 1985 by USAID. That is not a Liberian report. The report clearly shows, and I can read some excerpts of that report.
What is the report called? How can people get the report?
The report is called. Let me bring the report up. The report is online. Anybody who's willing to get that report can get that report. I'm coming 1 second, really quick. I want to
because it's very important.
I want to get the full title of the report.
Good for you to
so that people cannot say I'm making up stories here. This report is a PL 480 Title 1 report that was done by the United States government. Okay, here is the title of the report. The title of the report is called Audit of the PL 480 Title 1 Program to Liberia. Audit report number 7-669-85B. It was done in May 24, 1985. So report,
when you go online and you just type that, you will get the report, right?
You should be able to find it. It should be. I just read the report again. The title is Audit of the PL 480 Title 1 Program to Liberia. Audit report number 7-669-85-B. Date is May 24th, 1985. And this report was done by the United States of America Agency for International Development, Office of the Regional Inspector General for West Africa. So this report is not a Liberian government report. It is a United States government report that was done during that period. And it talks about the period between 1980 to 1985, the period when Joseph Boakai served at LPMC and Ministry of Agriculture. It is that period that the United States government audited based on the assistance it gave to Liberia in the agriculture department. And the report is very damning. It shows a lot of corrupt practices on the part of Joseph Boakai.
And you're saying that Ambassador Boakai was fired by
He was fired for Samuel Doe. He was fired in 1985, and this was one of the reasons, in fact, it was the core reason that Joseph Boakai was dismissed by Samuel Doe, because he put the government in a problem. Because as a result of the bad practices and the corrupt practices that resulted from this report, the United States government stopped supporting Liberia at that period. In fact, in 1985, it was when Samuel Doe government really got in trouble with the United States government. That's when they started putting sanctions on Samuel Doe government because of these things that happened. So Joseph Boakai is a main contributor to the dysfunction of Liberia. He's a main contributor to why Liberia has not been able to invest in food agriculture. But he didn't stop there. On Ellen Johnson's leave, we saw him repeat the same behavior as vice president.
How?
Today, if you go to Foya in Lofa County, the hometown Joseph Boakai, you will see the ruins of equipment. Agriculture machine is literally sitting there in Foya right now as we speak. during the government of Unity Party, Joseph Braga Unity Party, when they were in power, Joseph Braga had two key assignments that were taxed to him by the former president. One, he was given the assignment of youth empowerment. And the second assignment he was given for the agriculture program. There was $75 million put down for youth empowerment for Liberia on Joseph Braga. That program was launched in 2013. $15 million every year in 5 years period. The Liberian government contributed about $5 million to that program. Under Joseph Braga, that program failed again. The youth were not empowered. That program failed. What happened to the money is unaccountable. We saw the agriculture program sponsored by the Libyans for Liberia to feed itself wrecked in Lofa County. Under Joseph Braga. So such a man with a bad and terrible governance record cannot come and stand in front of us and tell us that he wants to govern this country when he has no history as a president. We have said this man has not associated himself with success, with governance success. He has no history of success in doing anything for Liberia.
Is that what you're telling the people in the communities?
No, I'm just trying to contrast. What the thing we are doing in the community, like I said earlier, is we are championing the development initiative of President Weah. And we are trying to do a comparative analysis about what the president has done. For example, let's look at Electric City in Liberia. During the past 12 years, Joseph Braga Unity Party, we had about 2,000 watts of electricity a month. And now on this government, in 6 years' time, in 12 years, we had that less. And now this government, we have more than or that amount of average. And interestingly, electricity now is cheaper than what we had during the 12 years of Joseph Braga Unity Party. So we can see another development agenda. And nobody can dispute the fact right now. Electricity is more common, is more frequent now than in the past. So that itself is an achievement. And the current electricity is being financed again by the Liberian government. In the past, they had international funding. They did not do that job. So if we move away from electricity, we come to let's one of the interesting things I think I heard a conversation earlier on was the idea of Mr. Braga talking about downsizing the government. Let's even look at that aspect of the government. When Joseph Braga Unity Party came to power, they took away more than 35,000 people from the payroll. They downsized the civil service. They said these people were not good. And so they bloated the government bureaucracy with only those who supported the Unity Party. When this government came to power under George Weah, the president said, we are all Liberians. We cannot move civil servants from the payroll, but rather we keep these people on the payroll. And so the president was able to leave these people on the payroll. And as a result of that, he was only able to hire new people. About 300,000 plus people was added to government payroll since this government came to power.
3,000 or 300,000?
No, not 300. 300,000. You're talking about
300,000.
300,000. That means that everybody who voted for Unity Party in the last election, but 300,000 people was on the government payroll. And the government cannot afford that. So we see the contracts. They come to power. Joseph Braga Unity Party comes to power, kick everybody off the government payroll, hire only their partisan. George Weah CDC comes to power, keep their partisan on the payroll, and in fact was only able to add a few other people on the payroll and still maintaining the government bureaucracy, still running the government. That's a vast improvement. Many other areas we've seen. Let's look at education. Education, for example. And nobody can dispute that fact that, and the records are there, the statistics are there that shows that since President George Weah introduced the tuition program, the free tuition program for students, plus the free wires fee, students have had a better sleep. And you know, sleep is important towards your brain. And students have been able to study better. And students are passing more. The wires exam is not given by Liberians. These are West African exams. You have more students passing the exam now than in the past. In the past, we had students feeling every day that even Unity Party government itself characterized their own education system as a mess.
So let me ask you this question: where do you intend to do most of your where do you intend to place most of your concentration in these engagements that you're doing?
Well, we are talking to everybody. We are not trying to be concentrated in a particular area. One of the things we are doing in our engagement is that we are caught talking to citizens, even the hardest core citizens who still say they're going to vote for George Weah. We still have to give them this information. We are talking to United Partisan because we think it is dangerous for them to be misled and misinformed. So we are giving them proper information. We are also talking to other people in Liberia, even those who say
undecided voters.
Undecided voters. Everybody. Look, all Liberians, the president is a president for all Liberians. So we have to speak to everybody.
So it's just a month of elections. We'll soon be in October having elections. What are you taking along when you go to these engagements in the communities?
Look, the best thing we take along is the record of the president, the performance records. Because I think citizens, are more interested in what government can do for them. And so we take the record of the president to the people and make them understand that the president record is important. He has been doing these things just in 6 years' time, comparing it with 12 years, and we see this improvement. If you give him another 6 years, it means that he's going to do more than what he's done in the last 6 years. And he's going to put the country on a track that will be easy that whosoever come after him is going to balance the country to move quicker. Development, the stage of development comes about where one government has to lay a strong foundation for the next government to ride upon.
And that's that foundation you believe the CDC is laying?
Exactly. We're definitely doing that. Take, for example, community roles. Let's look at community roles. Community roles are very important for community people. There are places where vehicles could not go. There are places where even people could not go to these places. But just by putting a basic community roles has improved the quality of life for those people. Because if you place a community role somewhere where the people who have been walking in the night, and because there was lack of road, maybe they would go to bed soon, businesses were not in those areas, just by putting that community road there. I mean, I can tell you about some places, like, for example, one of the most interesting, just actually right here in District 4. Let's look at District 4 in the Sokini community. There's an area that they call Nambara community. This place, you have two large communities that was separated by a river. And if you hear the stories, especially the women that live in that area, where they were crossing on canoes to come across, to come to Raleigh Market or Omega Market, as a result of just a small bridge across that river now, and paving it, just creating the road to that bridge to cross it, people now can go to that area. People are able to open businesses in that area. They are making profit from those businesses. People now can go to the market and buy things. Prices within our community is a little bit cheaper than in the past. So these community roles are very critical to national development. These things were not there in the past. So let's look at even Joseph Blocker house. Look at where he lived in the rehab community. House? Look in the rehab community, just in his house, the community that's there. He was vice president for 12 years. He had enormous power. He had a budget of over 2 million plus. He didn't have to steal. He could just make a small contribution towards his community.
Are you saying he was very mean?
By helping to just, I can't describe it, but if you are a millionaire living in a community.
Do you think he's a millionaire?
He is a millionaire. Just on his salary.
So he
budget for his office was over $2 million every year. So he
has the money and he doesn't want to spend it.
Definitely, he had the money. Blocker is not a poor man. He's not a poor man. But
that's how he carries himself.
But that's tells you the nature. That's the kind of character he has presented himself to be. So there's a man who lives in the community. He has access to wealth and power, but just to allow small community roles, he could not do those things for the people. Just to allow electricity, he could not do those things for his people.
And people lived around the vice president in darkness, and he had light in his
It took
house.
a George Weah to come to power, and now he's benefiting from that very role that Mr. Weah has built in his community, and the people are also enjoying it. Look in Foya, in his own hometown, Wasonga. It's sad. This man who's supposed to be in agriculture doesn't even have a farm in Liberia.
The man said he has a farm. So let me ask you, how do you intend to spread out your team? Do you have teams in all parts of the country? This is your community engagement team, or is it just a Monrovia-based team?
Look, like I said, the first thing our department's community engagement is working closely with the party, the chairman, national chairman of the party, Mr. Moba Molu, and other executive groups of the party. So we have people already situated in every aspect of Liberia, every corner of Liberia. And so all we have done is that we have conducted training for these people.
Okay.
And then because they are the local people, they understand their own local issues. As the American would say, all politics is local. So we arm them with the national development, the message of the president, and they take that national development message. Because, for example, somebody could be living somewhere in Maryland County, in Calocan in Maryland. That person don't know what the president has done in Lofa County. So you need to give them the national development information, so they can marry that national development information with the local information. So a man now in Calocan can say confidently that, look, there was never a road from Banga to Lofa before. George Weah has built that road, and they can see the video of that road, they can watch it, and nobody can dispute that fact that there's national development. As a result of that road, quality of life has improved. And so the president is continuing to do those things. And those who are arguing against the president of national development, the question they have not answered, and we continue to ask this question: what can you offer the Liberian people if we give you power? The same things that George Weah is already doing, the same thing that they failed to do, is the same thing they are promising. And we're saying, look, we're not here for promises. You have power, you promised all 12 years, you did not do these things. We are already doing these things, and you are telling us you're going to fix the road. You come in to tell us that, I will fix the road from Banga to Lofa. We are already fixing the road from Banga to Lofa. You tell, I'm going to make school fees or less. We already telling students don't pay wires fee. You're telling us, look, I'm going to build a hospital in Bobolu. We've already built a hospital in Bobolu. You're telling, I'm going to build some housing unit for the people in Riverside or Grandeur. We've already done those things. So what are you coming to do? We've already done those things. Now we are talking about doing different things, not thing things. So you coming to copy. I know.
What is the CDC led government going to do now? If the Liberian people give you a second term, because like you've said, the Unity Party government is not saying anything different. They're saying they're going to do the same things the CDC government is already doing. Are there other things that you want to do? Maybe they just want to continue with what you're doing, so they want you to give them, a space, because they've been on the sideline for 6 years. And they have to come back. It's a must. They come back to government. So is there anything extra? Why didn't you give them the 6 years so they can just continue, in your path?
The thing here is that we've seen the record. They have made promises that they did not deliver on.
Okay.
So we cannot trust them with the state.
You think so?
Especially so when they had the opportunity to do even more than we are doing now. And imagine, we are doing it in less than the time they had. We are doing more in 6 years than they did in 12 years. So, for example, when Unity Party was in power, there was 0 volunteer teachers on the government payroll. Now, on the CDC government, right, we have about 2,000 volunteer teachers that the CDC government is paying. These are not like regular teachers.
So they were volunteering on the...
No, they have zero. When you say 0, what do you mean? They did not have people who have, because a lot of time there's a challenge with teachers in the public school system. So you have to encourage people to volunteer, like people who have high level skills in different areas.
People volunteering who were protesting because they were not getting anything.
But that's what I'm saying, 0. That's what I'm saying. That's a 0 there. So they weren't getting that pay. But under the CDC-led government, we have more than 2,500 people who are being paid as a voluntary teachers. So that's a difference right there. So
at least the CDC is giving them stipend that the Unity Party didn't do when they were in power.
Exactly. So that's another area. So they promised those people. So you're talking about giving them a chance. They promised those people for 12 years. The people got 0.
The government is continuing to take. So you're doing it now with little resources. They're saying that, give me the chance. We want to come and do what they're doing, because they're not saying anything different though. But you don't believe that they're going to continue on in your path. Are they going to do, they're going to do worse? The country is going to retrogress?
The record of Joseph Blacker is instructed that we cannot trust him with the state. a man who had over $75 million on him for youth empowerment squandered that money. He squandered the money. Now we have the TVET program for young people who are learning different skills and doing different things. And let me just come to another important area comparing the two political parties and the governance. Unity Party was in power for 12 years. They did not have a political party for themselves.
What do you mean?
We saw after they left power in recent time, they have been kicked out from one political party headquarters. They don't have a structural building. It tells you the lack of commitment they have to development. Even their own party, an office space, they could not maintain that office space. They have to be kicked out from one office space to another office space to another office space. Let's contrast that with the CDC. CDC has maintained its office space in the opposition, and even now we have developed a vocational technical school on our headquarters where our partisans are learning skills in different trade areas. So you see the kind of development and improvement. These people in power for 12 years, zero after leaving power, they kicked them out of office because they were poor managers, they could not manage. And it tells you the genius of George Weah leadership, managing the state. It tells you that these people, the only reason why we was able to govern for 12 years is because, like I said, they were being babysitted by the international community. So once the babysitter left, mail left, everything left, they could not even manage their own party headquarters. They had to kick them out. We managed our party headquarters for 12 years, and now we have improved the party headquarters with different things. And most importantly, we have a vocational technical school that recently graduated students in different trades area. So you see the kind of value that we are adding to our policy. We are not just making them to run around town and chant songs, but rather we are giving them skills that they can earn a living and support their family.
So do you have resources and logistics, to do the kind of community engagement or outreach to knock on every door?
Well, the CDC way of doing things, which again is different from the Unity Party, is what we have always done by domestic resource mobilization. Okay. So partisans themselves believing in the idea of the CDC has been able to mobilize their own resources. We put our own resources together. And even those of us who are not even working in government, I'm not in government. I've not worked in government for the last 6 years. But whatever small thing I have doing on my own, I also contribute my own resources. Other partisans contribute their own resources. This is how we did it in the last 6 years. And this is how we are still doing it now in order to be able to finance ourselves to go to these places, because obviously it costs resources to go to these places. You have to get a vehicle, you have to get gasoline, you have to find somewhere to stay. But because of the way the CDC is organized and established, it makes these things very easy for us to do. Because I can go to any part of the country and I can see another sedition and they can say, look, my man, come and stay in my mud house here. And because we are revolutionaries, when we are a revolutionary party, I have no problem sleeping in our mud house. I have no problem eating wherever food they have. I have no problem waking up in the morning and going outside and taking a bath in the outside shower or whatever bathroom. Because the objective here is to change that condition of the people in these various parts of Liberia. And so we have to live the way our people are living while we are trying to change the condition for better.
Let me ask you this question. Why are you so committed? I hear you say that, you are a founding member of the CDC. The last time I saw you in the States, you were one of the MCs when the president went to meet with people. Where was that? In fact, you were one of the MCs. Why are you so committed to this party? I hear you say that you have not worked for 6 years, but you are still committed to this party. And I want to hear from you, because I hear what the people in the opposition say when it comes to people like you who are a founding member of this party. You're still committed wherever you find yourself. You came back from the States just to come and campaign for CDC again. Why are you so committed?
Sure, because the CDC is an idea. The CDC is an idea. It's not an individual thing.
Okay.
It's an idea, and the idea is for us to transform Liberia to a better country. And we believe that Liberia has all the resources necessary to transform the country to a better place. Look, take for example, let's look at even the roads we're talking about in Liberia right now. On the Unity Party 12 years government, they were only successfully able to do, we're talking about major roads, 25 kilometers of roads. Less than that, 25 kilometers. Under the CDC government, in 6 years, we have done 105 kilometers. See the vast difference. 12 years, you did only 25 kilometers. We have 6 years, we've done 105 kilometers of roads. So that alone is inspirational for me to say that this
it's not
idea.
about you, right?
No.
It's about your party.
Of course, it's about the party and what we say we're going to do for this country to develop this country. So I'm seeing that what we said we wanted to do happening on George Weah. 6 years, George, we have already done 105 kilometers of roads. That's impressive. And somebody who was there for 12 years, despite all of the international $17 billion foreign direct investment, only did 25 kilometers of roads. Why shouldn't I continue to be on the CDC bandwagon? Why shouldn't I continue to support this president when the country is being developed? Clear contrast we've seen right there. So I don't have to be convinced about why I should continue to support George Weah. I'm looking at the physical reality. The evidence is present, and I'm looking at it with my own eyes.
Are you proud of Ambassador Weah?
I'm very proud.
Weah?
I'm very proud of the president's achievement.
Seditian?
I'm very much proud, even double proud of being a seditian. I'm very happy that I have been vindicated as a Liberian, as an individual, because we were insulted that this man, if he was going to be president, there was going to be chaos in Liberia. The country was going to get into war, going to dysfunction. But what George Weah have shown, that even absent or no, United Nations forces not in Liberia, we still have peace in the country. The country is still running, the country is still being governed. That is something for us to celebrate, because we were insulted, we were called grown-up boys, we were called uneducated people, we were called the worst name. But today, we are seeing national transformation, we are seeing national development, and we are proving to those who said that we could not be better, that the government is performing better. And I think that's why they are so mad, because those who they said could not do better are performing at a higher rate than them, and with limited resources. So they are so mad. And look, we are not going to give this country back to
What
people.
do you think is going to happen if this country is giving back to the Unity Party folks?
Look, Liberia is not going to get international welfare. Let's get that straight. United Nations is not going to come back here. So this myth, United Nations will only come back here if there's war in Liberia where we cannot help ourselves. That's when you want to see all the NGOs coming back and dividing free food, dividing free cash. And we don't want to go back to that situation where we gave the state to people who have proven to be bad managers and bad governors, except they are state looters and squanderers and all the other negative names we can think about. We cannot afford to take this country back to Egypt. We left Egypt, we have passed the wilderness, we are now entering the promised land, and we are not reversing the train. We are not reversing the track. We are not reversing development. We have to keep moving on. And with Ambassador George Weah, President, His Excellency George Weah, we are convinced the next 6 years will produce more and more development, unimaginable development that's going to transform this country to a modern state. We are in the 21st century. Imagine there was no what's the thing, machine at the DNA in your DNA machine in Liberia since 1847, the whole country. On 12 years of government, people who said they had all the best education in the world, a simple thing that did not exist. It took a George Weah to come to power to do that. I mean, that is so sad for these same people to come back and tell us that they are better governed on this state. They cannot govern. The records are there, and George Weah has proven to be a better governor. And we will continue to move on with President Weah and give him another 6 more years to keep doing what he's done. And maybe after 6 years, we can think about who next to give the presidency to. But for now, we're moving on with George Weah.
Okay, they cannot govern better. And so we continue with George Weah for the next 6 years. My prime guest is Bloji Choppy Charlie, Community Engagement Strategist, Coalition for Democratic Change. I'm going to open up the lines now and hear what you have to say as it relates to everything he has said this evening on Open Conversation. Call us on 0880-514 096, and you'll be live on Open Conversation this evening on ELBC Radio. Let's talk to our very first caller on ELBC Radio. Let's talk to our very first caller on ELBC. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Oops. 0880514-096. Let me see whether I can get this one on. Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, today. How you doing?
Good.
Good evening, today.
Good evening, sir. I'm getting you. Let's hear you.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Good.
All right, this is very important. Sunny Manning calling to say thank you to Sojo. You made my night. I really appreciate his presentation. It was so clear and nothing more that you can say than what he said. But I enjoyed the questions to him, how this message is resonating in the community. They need to focus more on this community-driven engagement than, just to be on the air. But I really enjoyed his presentation. That message is full of a jingle. It explains everything that's supposed to exist, that everybody can understand to re-elect our great president. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for being a part of the program. Let's hear you.
Yeah, today good evening, and let me say good evening to our studio guest, my ambassador. This is me, Armstrong Bapu, where we are one brand to chairman.
Let's hear you, Armstrong.
Yeah, let me say many thanks to my brother. Today, let me stress on 2 points. You asked the question why we are now working, but we continue, or how we're getting our support, and we continue to support President we are. As my brother said, this is a revolutionary process. It's not about me, it's about our own faith. Today, we don't care whether we will get something. We are proud because yesterday, when we were all over the country telling people to vote President we had said he was not going to deliver. But today, people discussing how road will go in my hometown in Matirisi, Grandmaster County. Today, we're walking on paved road over in Monrovia. Today, our community are laid off, and I think we are proud for our vote. Then our second point has to do with the issue of my brother stretched a point. It remind me on the issue on Moses. When Moses started, and when Moses was about to take the children of Israel from Egypt, we see in the wilderness there were so many difficulties. So today, why I get lost, we are all the difficulties he passing through. We always say one thing to us, within people and they our trust in God, and as we continue to say, basically, as God above, we will re-elect President. We are on one round basis. Let me say many thanks to my brother, and I know we're going to do it, and we'll continue with our struggle. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for being a part of the program. Let's hear you.
Hello?
Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you will continue to say yeah, because you're listening to the radio and listening to yourself. So maybe you need to lower the volume of the radio, please.
Yeah, I support the president because I support President Mandela for his second minute, and I know that the second minute will do most things that people will say yes, the president is doing well.
Okay. Thank you. Let's hear you.
Yeah, my name is James Bakla, and I joined you from Open Community.
Let's hear you, Mr. Bakala.
Yeah, I want to ask our studio guest. He said something like, Madam Sally completed 7 kilometers road.
He said 25.
Is this anyone the truth from Coca-Cola factory to Gata Guinea Bola? Is he not looking at that? CDC started in 2018 from Coca-Cola factory to Saturday Junction, Saturday 18. Since here, nearly 6 years, they cannot complete this short distance. Are you telling me that people the truth?
Is that the only role that the CDC is doing since she came to power?
Let's look at another role. Let's look at our international airport role. Since they started that role, they have not even reached to think of village. Can you imagine that?
When did they start that road?
It is not telling me that people the truth.
Okay, tell us the truth now. When did they start the road, sir?
They started the road in 2022.
Which road?
They started this road.
Which road?
I mean, the our international airport road.
CDC started since 2022. And taking into consideration, we don't have an all-weather road. You know that, right? We're in 2023. If you started a road in 2022 and we're in 2023, according to you, you expect during the rainy season for the roads work to be ongoing? Is that what you expect? You're just saying things that you have no proof of. So I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there with you. Let's stick with. Hello, sir.
We are going to retire.
Okay. You're entitled to your vote. Thank you very much, sir. It's better for you to say you don't support the CDC than for you to come on the radio and say things that are not true. If somebody started a road in 2022, you expect that the RIA road will be finished by now, knowing fully whether we have a rainy season. Wow. Hello? Hello? Good evening.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. I'm James, calling from Puebla.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, I want to stress this point. First of all, when talking about road development, Nigeria needs 3 years to develop all this. Because we have really 3 years without grass and 3 years, 2 years. So we're talking about the mile of development. Look at this about that. Look, we have and in 12 years. Think about that. This is the hand pump for people. Hand pump. It's so many big cost for all of these things. Hand pump. Think about that. Big. Hand pump. That's the point.
Okay, sir. Yes. Thank you so much for your point. Let's hear this person.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Tigo Ready joining from Western Community.
Let's hear you from Western.
Yes. For us, we very party people. We already make our mind. We get up a bit. They say there. So you shouldn't be still there. They still get to answer to my question, but don't be attacking other people that won't get it. They will ask the main question. Thank you.
But ask your question now. What question you get? I thought you had a question. You don't even have a question. You say I'm attacking somebody who has a question. Any of you who call on the radio, you should come with the facts. If you don't have the facts, I will ask you the question. He knows exactly that you cannot. You say the government started the road in 2022. You expect that the RIA road will be finished by now when we have rainy season. It's really now. You see anybody working on it? At least the government started it. What did your government start? Good evening.
Good evening, dear.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, everyone has said all, and whatever you explain, there's nothing there that somebody will see and say it's not true. So the people putting themselves outside God is making them to confess to the Liberian people. I want to use this time to launch an appeal to my president that I love so much, President William, to help and get my town in Nima County, Queensland Township, North Nima County, Orange Tower and Lone Star Tower to be there, and we had 2 bridges along the road there to be constructed. At least that alone will be released to us. Because I've been with the party from since 2005 up to present, always doing my own campaign around.
Okay.
So I'm appealing to the president. I'm CDC charged in it to be. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for being a part of the program. Let's hear you.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jim Bagala 26. I'm calling from Duboro 18th Street.
Tuburo 18th Street. Let's hear you.
Okay. I want to comment with you in studio there. Yeah, for all I know, see, we don't need to waste time. All we need to do here is to all our men to put to foot President William. When you know, so I can go back with someone because someone is speaking. That's all my message. Thank you.
Okay, you can do the same by calling us on 088-0514-096 and you'll be live on Open Conversation. Let's hear you. Good evening. Good evening. You are live, sir. Go ahead, please. What's your name and where are you joining us from?
I'm still the president at Tukuni.
Okay. You're coming in broken, sir. We're not getting you. Well, I'm sorry. I have to leave you at that because I'm not getting you. Let's hear this other person. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, my mother.
Good morning. Good evening, sir.
I'm Josiah F. Thomas calling from Jamaica community.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, so I'm staying strong to full President Weir comes October 10, 2026. Well, let me make a point, a correction to a guy who said that you are answering question or asking question. If you come over issue concerning the studio guest, you should make a point. You should come over the issue. Come over with issue that will be very reasonable. Or if I got questions for the studio guest, you can make it easier and then make it easier for you that they have a question for the studio guest. But not the big camera or officials or on the mid-level or on the radio. No. This is just a pressure. This is a common thing that you can do to make your friend to learn. But let me say this to my people in Liberia. If you're not able to give your family full money, you cannot take care of other people. So whether you go in or somewhere town, a school started from childhood. I got photos of the school is not in a good condition. If you can be getting money, you cannot go and work on that school. Or the cleaner in our town, you cannot help the people by a second one. How we may interesting.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Yes. How are you, sir?
I'm good, sir.
Okay. I'm Alfonso Samuel calling from Maryland County, Calvary District.
Let's hear you.
Yes. Yes. Feeling making it possible that Jeff Weir is going back to do the next thing. And really, I have one of the albums that I want to put out. The first one is Those Who Were Deceiving Us. It's a song that I was saying that we were living in darkness those days. Now we are living in light.
Are you singing a song?
Yeah, that's my song that I want to bring out.
Wait, coming on what time? When?
Yeah, I start putting my children together, even though we not get instrument, but we're thinking when the man ever come to us, which is the president.
Let me hear small now. Yeah. Give me small. Give me small rhythm.
Yeah, we were living in darkness those days. Now we are living in light today. We were living in darkness those days. Now we are living in light today. Look at the sorrow. Look at the sorrow we have ourselves. The time we used to live in darkness, we choose to destroy our own property, killing our brothers and sisters. Now, the Liberian government has come to hold our hands from darkness to light.
Yeah, now, man.
The Liberians are boastful. We are living in light today. Now.
That is rhythm there. Now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I wait to hear that song so that I can play it on the radio. I want that song before the election finishes so I can play it on the show.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's hear you. Now. Good evening. Okay, that person is off. Let's hear this one. Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Yes, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Kevin calling from the highway.
Let's hear you from the highway.
You see, our president is the right one for our nation.
Hello?
Hello, you getting me?
I'm getting you.
Yeah. Hello.
Sir, you're live. Please go ahead.
I want to thank our studio guests in studio for all of these great.
Hello?
Hello.
Sir, I will have to leave you at that and take another person because I'm not getting you. Coming in broken. Hello?
Hello, today.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I was trying to add a few guests there. On the road we did from Harvard to Buchanan. Whatever my dream ministry administrator, that road was fixed. Our budget was 80 million. Whatever military that led this country and the budget was up to 5 million plus.
What is your story?
The United government made. Please to answer the question, I beg you.
But you and the mayor, you're arguing over the road from Harvard to Buchanan again. Did the man say that Unity Party did not, construct that road?
Let me ask you, if you have a property that your daily or money income cannot afford you, that is not a corruption. Let me answer that question. If you have a property that your money or yearly salary cannot afford you, that is not a corruption. Where do you get the money from?
Okay, thank you, yeah?
So then you answer your questions, Didi.
All right, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Titi. How are you doing?
Good.
We're doing football from District 4. We're in studio guest. I want to ask your studio guest. Your studio guest is telling that black people, if President Well win for the second term, President Well spent 12 years in power. If by the grace of God, if President Well spent 12 years in power, if the next government are coming to do, it means that there will be no work for the next government to do, or let me tell me the meaning of government, how government function in Liberia, in our democracy, how the functions of government.
Well, I answer your question.
I have two questions. My question is, number one question is, after if President Will win for the second term, in telling that black people tonight that after his 12 years, the next government are coming, there will be no job for the next government to do.
But if there is a government, why would there be no job for them to do?
No, they're in trying to mislead Liberian people in the sense that, misleading Liberian people. How
is it misleading Liberians?
In the sense that if government is continuing to uncommon understanding, anything that is spent 12 years into power, when she stopped, there was working started from. I believe in my own understanding. But in both years, you like to tell me, President Ware, Eddie Jones said he did not do nothing at all. President Ware is working.
Is that what the man said to you? That Eddie Jones did not do anything? No, you're not coming. I'm asking you, is that what the man said to you? Because the man is right here. I interviewed him. You're saying the man said Madam Sirleaf did nothing. He didn't say that. How will you say that? He said that.
In Pontiac, where Madam Angel said there. Hello, Martin.
I said, let me ask, what's he really hurting you?
Nothing hurt.
No, just tell me, what's he really hurting you tonight? Hello? You go, let me carry you. I will take two more and then I come back to my guest in studio. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
It's hard for you to defend United Party that it's not suffering your rent. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Amos State. I'm calling from Johnson, the 68% we are picking.
Let's hear you.
Yeah, let me tell you, the first thing, with the institution, after president, we are 2 years, we will decide who to be the next president.
That you're supposed to decide?
Yes.
That the Liberian people will decide. Let me what you read there, that Liberian people will decide. And our citizens will decide. Liberian people will decide.
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I say we would.
Okay. President, we are beginning going off. Let me hear this one. Hello.
Good evening, Madam Chico.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I want to correct my brother because he's struggling to say what he was saying there. The brother did not tell you this is Chapina calling from Red Light. The brother did not tell you Madam Ellie did not do anything. But he told you the good what he is carrying on in the country, that he is doing.
Hello. You going off? Let me take this one. Hello?
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 You are live. Go ahead. You're my final caller, in fact. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is A.B. Weezer calling from Maryland County.
Let's hear you, Mr. Weezer.
Okay, go ahead. Say hi to your studio guys. The problem is that when you provide information, provide the real information so that people can listen. You do 405 kilometers and then 25 kilometers. That will be an argument because kilometer is almost 75 kilometers is a short distance. Now, if you're talking about road and you want to praise the government, the Southeast is cut. There's no road.
When you say the Southeast is cut, when you said there is no road, what do you mean?
But all the people are coming, including the speaker, everybody, coming official, the party through Africa. Through Africa.
So there is no road in the Southeast? Hold on now. There is no road in the Southeast when you providing information to, I think it's incumbent upon you also to provide the better information, like you were saying earlier.
No, you want to come to Maryland County, River G? No way.
So you can leave from River G to Maryland County, is that what you're saying?
What?
You can leave from River G to Maryland?
No, any guy said he pays 1 kilometer road. You can reach the River G.
Oh, Ellen Johnson said, hello, hold on. That Ellen Johnson said he paved the road from Maryland to River G, right? Josh, we ain't do nothing there, right?
Nothing.
Thank you, yeah. Thank you for your input. When you come on the radio and you just decide to just tell story because you're older man, I don't even want to use the other word. It's just sad. There's a way to talk about your candidate, but for you to say that this president did not do anything on the road from Maryland to River G, then it speaks, volume. If you're an older person, you can't do that. You said the road is cut off. Judge, I ain't doing nothing, no road in that whole place there. It's sad. Because if somebody calls now from River G, what you're saying, they will not say that same thing. And it's just sad. You can't do that. Let me just come back to you because we don't have much time. Let me come back to you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you again. And let me say thanks to the callers, even those who have a different position on what have been said. But just for clarification, so that we understand what we're talking about here, never did I say the Unity Party did nothing. I'm not in a kind of argument. But let's use the Unity Party reasoning for a minute. And even the last caller, let's just use his reasoning. One of the things he wants that George Weah should not be elected, he argues, is because the rule in the Southeast is bad. If that's the reason why George Weah should not be re-elected, does that same reason not apply to Joseph Braka Unity Party? Because they were in power for 12 years and there was no paved road there. So if we should not be re-elected because no paved road. The Unity Party equally should not be re-elected because they had no paved road there. But that's the contradiction in the reasoning of Unity Partisans, because they are being brainwashed by negative propaganda. But the reality here is, as I said earlier, and just to clarify, I said community rules. Under Joseph Braga Unity Party, they did 25 kilometers of community rules, and I was even talking about Joseph Braga's failure to build community rules in his own community in rehab. Under George Weah, we have 105 kilometers of community rules. Now we talk about major rules. The 6 year, comparing 6 years to 6 years, Unity Party did 200 kilometers of rules, and George Weah have done 347 kilometers of roads. So we can see in 6 years, 347 kilometers of roads. In 12 years, 200. Who have done more work? Who have done better work? Let's come to another area, because people talk about education a lot of time. On Joseph Braga Unity Party, we had the highest salary for a master degree holder who was teaching at the university, either University of Liberia or Tubman University, was making $1,100 a master degree. These are people who say they value education. On George Weah, the same position educated person is making $2,000. So imagine 12 years Joseph Braga Unity Party, $1,100. On George Weah, $2,000 for a master degree. Who is placing more value on education? Who is providing more quality education? It is George Weah. Let's look at another issue. On the Joseph Braga Unity Party, we had electricity. I'm just giving you a bit. Electricity. How many people are connected to electricity?
Only 2 minutes.
Yeah. In the homes, quickly. We have about 277,840 persons connected to electricity for 12 years on a Unity Party. On a George Weah, talking about new people, we had 973,570. Imagine the vast difference. And we can mean a whole lot of difference, improvement on a George Weah than Joseph Braga Unity Party. And this is why George Weah has proven to be a better leader, a greater leader, a more capable leader, and that's why Liberians have to open their eyes. Even those who are against George Weah have to understand that development is what you want for your country. You don't need to depend on welfare. You don't need to depend on anybody gotta give you $1 before you leave. Once we have improvement in governance in the country and development across the country, naturally businesses will go in these places and people will be able to feed themselves and move themselves forward. Development is not bread and butter. If you look all across the world, the countries that are developed, they went through a rough patch. But we had 12 years that we should have transformed this country, and our friends on the opposite side of the street, the 2-year-old people, they say they live on 2nd Street, number two, that children are toddlers. 2-year-old children, they can think, they can make a right decision. For us, we are 18 years. 18 years old is a point of decision making. So you have maturity. When you are 18 years old, you can make your own decision. But when you are 2-year-old, you still got to depend on your mom, your pa, your brother, your sister, your uncle, and everybody. We cannot put toddler in power. We need to keep the 18-years in power for 6 months here.
Thank you so much, Blue J. Choppy Charlie. Thanks for sitting with us this evening on our open conversation. And we wish you all the best as we go to elections. Thanks to all of you who join us this evening on our open conversation. And to you, the Unity Party folks, or you who, when we have people in studio who are discussing the issues about the other party, let us come to, the discussion with all that we have. All I ask is when you come and ask questions, or when you try to say certain things that the Unity Party has done, I will ask you the right questions. It's important for us to know, because a lot of people are listening. So when you come and then you start to tell people, the lies, we will always bring you to book. But the conversation is open and it's for everybody. That is what, President George Weah has done. He has made this state broadcaster a state broadcaster. So if you're in the opposition, you're in position, you are off position, you're around position, wherever you are, you have an opportunity to have a say on the national broadcaster. We'll talk to you, God willing, tomorrow again with a fresh edition.
From the east to the west, north to the south, let's come together as one. They say united we stand, divided we fight.